Was in charge of Samsung's U.S. investments for 4 years. In 2007, Jay Eum left to co-found Translink Capital, which helps U.S. technology companies find partners and customers in Asia. And CCTV's Mark New sat down with and began by asking him what U.S. tech trends are now drawing interest from across Asia.
Big data and analytics, wearable technology, the Internet of Things. All of these areas, whether it's startups or big companies in the US, are leading the trends. And so all of the big companies in Asia are looking into getting access and building partnerships to build out their businesses in their respective territories as well.
Are all the trends starting from Silicon Valley and the US? Or are there any trends starting in Asia in tech?
The whole bundling aspect that people in the US and North America are very familiar with Netflix. It's all-you-can-eat subscription for content. For movie, TV content. In Asia, they've already, a couple of years ago, starting in Japan, they've started to bundle all-you-can-eat apps. So for a monthly flat fee, you can get your wide selection of premium apps, paid apps, as well as free apps that you can get all-you-can-eat as much as you want.
It's close to the end of the year, so tell me, what do you see as the next big thing in tech?
It's the renaissance of hardware. Because of the success of these crowdfunding platforms, as recent as 3 years ago, it was really difficult if you were a startup that was focused on building hardware devices to get funding. Crowdfunding platforms have enabled a route to pitch your idea, your concept, your invention to the end customers. And not only do you get pre-orders of that, so you get customers out of it, but you get validation from the market, which in return investors will look at and say, wow, maybe there is really demand for this. So the categories that fall into that include the wearables category or any sort of standalone consumer gadgets, even as far extending as consumer robotics are new emerging trends that we'll see more and more of.
Anything you've seen recently that has really just wowed you?
The product that's really captured my imagination, and in full disclosure, it's a company that we have invested in, is this product. I don't know if you've seen this coin card. It looks like a credit card. It acts like a credit card. You can swipe it with the magnetic stripe behind it. But it's actually an electronics device. And so through the mobile app that I have, I can actually program as many cards as I want to, credit cards, gift cards, loyalty cards, into the single device to get rid of the so-called fat wallet problem.
You started Samsung Ventures in America. Mm-hmm. Now they sort of hit a plateau and they're facing more competition. I believe their quarter earnings haven't been as good. What's gone wrong?
Samsung is actually providing multiple segments with their products in terms of smartphones, from the highest end products that compete against the iPhones with Apple, but also on the lower end products in some of the emerging and developing markets against mainly some of the Chinese manufacturers as well. And I really believe it was inevitable that some level of market share erosion would happen. Now, Samsung is dealing with that. But having worked at Samsung and seen how they operate, I wouldn't count Samsung out at all by a long shot. They are, in my view, the hardest working technology company in the world.
Samsung has also been embroiled in IP lawsuits with Apple. Any good come out of this?
You know what? I think it's actually, in my view, my personal view, and I don't think anybody from Samsung would admit it, it's been a benefit for Samsung in the sense that when people now think about Samsung, they think about it in the same sense of Apple. 4 or 5 years ago, before Samsung had the Galaxy phones, it was Apple and everybody else. But through the lawsuit and through the course of that, and Samsung smartly so leveraging the PR effect, Apple positioned them almost in parallel or an equal position as they were. And Samsung benefited, I believe, tremendously from that brand recognition and the publicity that was generated through that process. And a lot of folks, quite frankly, felt that Apple was overstretching their boundaries on what they considered design innovation, so to speak. And Samsung was actually able to leverage that and build quite a fan base.